Are we here again?
We're here again.
We're here in the. You still haven't named your bar yet.
I know I haven't. It's not done yet.
Well, okay, fair enough. It's looking pretty good though.
Yeah, it's getting there, man. It's getting there. Yeah, slowly building.
We're here in the unnamed bar.
Yes,
in Derek's man cave.
No name.
Bar unknown. Bar unknown. There you go. See, you're already adding value to this podcast. This is great. It's a good start. So welcome back, guys.
Yes.
We're really happy to be back on another Thursday. It basically means I get to start drinking for the weekend.
I love it.
Thirsty Thursday.
I love it.
Yeah.
On Thursdays, it's the best.
It's really just an excuse to get started early. We could do the podcast on a Friday, but you know what?
No, let's
get started.
Yeah.
Let's get going. But when you listen to this, it probably won't be a Thursday.
No, it's going to be a Friday to get your week.
That's right.
Going right.
That's right. So we got a great show tonight, Derek.
We do.
I'm
stoked.
We have like a ton of different beers.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't drink them all.
No.
But our guest brought some fantastic ones. I brought a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Stone sent us one.
That's crazy.
And so I feel like we've made it. I feel like we're basically legit at this point.
That was the goal.
Yeah.
Starting.
That was the one goal.
Free beer.
We have finally made it. I never need money for this.
No.
I was just in it for the beer.
That's it.
And so we have officially plateaued. Hopefully we keep going up. But look, so today's guest, Brian Chapin.
Yep.
Founder of Motley Brews. Really excited. This is the guy who basically started beer events in Las Vegas. Like, this is the guy. And Brian and I have known each other for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. So excited to have him on. We're going to talk some beer. Love to hear a little bit about like the events scene, because obviously the big thing was the beer festivals. That's where Brian and Motley Brews really got their start here in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. So what does that look like
in a
COVID world? So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Derek, let's roll it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, my name's Stu Hawk, and this is my podcast about all the weird, crazy, spooky things that scare me and my guests, and the one thing that helps us forget all about them. Ladies and gentlemen, beer freaks. Brian, welcome, man.
He's here.
What's up, you guys? Thanks for having me. Honestly, this is pretty exciting to three guys on a Thursday and just hanging out.
That should be the name of it. 3 guys on a Thursday.
Well, we got to get a third guy. So Brian, you're in.
Okay,
perfect.
Yeah. Call me when you need me.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, Brian, thanks for coming, man. And
thanks for having me, you guys. Appreciate it.
Obviously, really excited to have you, because you are a big name in the beer scene in the Las Vegas community. You really did bring the event side of things to from a beer perspective to Las Vegas. I know you've branched out beyond just beer, but can you give us a little bit of background on like what you've done with Motley Brews and even some of the stuff that you're doing with Production Theory?
Yeah, and super nice of you to even say that. And Motley and Production Theory all kind of they kind of come together. It's all events focused stuff, and Motley evolved. It's been over 10 years now.
Wow.
We started back in 2000.
It been 10 years?
Yeah, we really started back in 2009. We had a small event in 2009. Not a lot of people know about it. Some of the original folks that had started attending the fest in the beginning, but it was the first event, and then the last event that we did on the Strip. We actually did it at the Hard Rock Cafe, and they were gracious enough to, be like, hey, you guys can do an event here, when, we really didn't have a foothold at all yet.
Yeah.
And, it was a mild to moderately severe shit show, first event.
It's the first time,
Yeah.
Yep.
It's how it's supposed to be. If
Yeah.
it was perfect, there'd be something wrong.
Hey, your first time's always a little crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what we're talking about here. Professionals like me know what we're doing. Okay?
That's what she said. Yeah. But I think the cool part about it is that, in the beginning I was getting to touch absolutely everything. Everything was new. Hooking up a keg, meeting with breweries, curating the beer selection, getting to know, a little bit about the local breweries and stuff. It was all brand new. And, I did the event, and, after that, really the whole concept about Motley and getting it going and starting it was more, from that experience, and then just other experiences. I lived in Phoenix prior to that. And, something about cities, the other cities I had lived in before that was that there's just like a really strong local event scene and local activities and stuff. And so when I first moved here, it just wasn't like that. You either went to the Strip or you didn't. It was all kind of one with entertainment. It was way before downtown. I mean, there were aspects of downtown, places like the Griffin and Downtown Cocktail Room, which are super legendary. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, you didn't have events where people were coming together that were locals. Mm-hmm. They were having to integrate oftentimes with, the Strip. Yeah. So our concept was to, I was just like, man, it just kind of came from a place of being like, I really want to, have my friends come out here. I want to meet people and I want them to be able to meet people. Mm-hmm. And so we started the Great Vegas Festival of Beer, which has become our signature event. It really was that first step into bringing local, people together, and just friends are meeting people that they hadn't seen since high school, and new friendships were made. And we actually did it down at Tivoli Village. It was just after they had opened. It was their first year of opening. But when we threw the beer event there, we kind of touted it as, hey, you guys are opening up. Let us help bring a bunch of locals in for the opening. Sure. And we had no idea how many people were going to come. Zero. And this was way before social media advertising, way before any of that. And so we were hoping to get 1,000 people. And I think we had close to 2,000.
Holy
nice.
Wow.
And sold it out, before the night before. So we were like, oh shit, now what are we going to do?
To be totally honest, I just wonder how much these events played into the growth of the Vegas beer scene. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to stroke your ego too much here, but really, I would go to a restaurant in Vegas in 2011 and I would look at the menu and I'd be like, hey, do you guys have any craft beer or local beer? And they'd be like, we have Sam Adams. I'd be like, yeah, great. Hey, don't get me wrong. I like Sam Adams.
It's great. We're drinking Sam Adams right now.
Yeah. It's our pregame beer.
It's our pregame beer.
Sam Adams. Shout out to Sammy. They make good stuff. But when you ask for craft or local beer, that's not exactly what you're generally looking for.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of want, local beer is a portal to a bit of the culture of the city too, in a lot of places. Like, and you go to, there's a pride, being in San Diego. And I lived out there as well. I mean, being in San Diego, it's just, it's not beer culture, it's culture.
Yeah. It's just
people
part of
are, people know they're where you can sit down and talk to, any, man or woman or child of drinking age, and they'll know, they'll know about beer, and they'll know, in a cool way about the brewery and kind of the history and the culture and the owners. And so I think it's really cool. And I don't know. I mean, I think it was a lot that contributed to beer evolving. I think eventually the adoption of it from, even from distributorship and, from folks from other different, breweries and stuff wanting to expand contributed to it as well. I think on the local beer side, we've always put local breweries first and forward. Yep. We appreciate everyone, but, it's that portal into culture that I think is important. And so for us, I mean, we're just happy that people enjoyed it. We're happy that the breweries, enjoyed it.
But it brings it out in the brewers, because you can see it.
Oh, definitely.
Derek, you were inviting me to go have that slushy over at Astronomy this weekend.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Grandma was in town, so I had to.
You bring Grandma.
She probably would have enjoyed it.
What kind of grandma doesn't like a slushy?
Come on.
What kind of slushy was it?
It was like a pina colada.
It was like a pina colada slushy beer.
Yeah.
It was pretty wild stuff.
They
I think you missed an opportunity there.
I probably, because they probably sold out of that by now.
They probably did.
Damn it.
Grandma's. I think you should probably tell your grandma what you did and how wrong you were.
I'm gonna get in trouble.
I was just given a big margarita glass from my grandma that she, accidentally took from a Chili's or something, but it's one of the huge ones. It's huge. And there's a picture of her drinking out of it not that long ago. You know what I mean? It's awesome.
All right, Grandma. Cool grandmas.
Grandmas can get down.
All right.
Grandmas can get down for sure. So, okay, I'm looking at the beer that you brought, so I'm chomping at the bit. But before we get to that, Brian, I need you to do something for us. This is the spooky part of the show.
Oh, God.
Or the deep part of the show. It depends on what kind of fear is brought.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian, I mean, you already told me, but can you introduce to the audience what fear we're going to be talking about today?
Sure. We're talking about the fear of not growing, fear of lack of growth.
Okay.
The idea of staying stagnant and not moving forward.
Yes.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
I think that's a good one.
It's way good.
Well, now the fun part.
I'm excited.
So Brian, you actually brought the beer.
Yeah.
That kind of aligns with this sphere. So can you tell us a little bit about what you brought today?
Yeah, I brought a beer from Mikkeller, San Diego. Mikkeller obviously is huge in Europe. They started a brewery out here and partnered out in San Diego. They're really well known for some of their IPAs, but they also have really started pushing the envelope. They've been established now for several years. So this one's called The Last OG. It is a Russian Imperial Stout. Comes in at a very mild 14.7%.
Oh,
Easy drinking.
Easy drinking.
Yeah.
That should have been our pregame.
Summer day.
Yeah, and
That's right.
just regular,
Pre-game.
just by the pool type stuff. But this is in Weller bourbon barrels, so and brandy barrels. So this is recommended to me from John and Issa over at Corey's Fine Wine Spirits. Love
man.
those guys.
Shout out to Corey.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Corey.
That's
for
where
sure.
that's
place.
where we get 90% of the beer for this show.
Mhm.
Yep. He just, John over there was just like, man, you got to grab this one. And the whole Last OG concept, I think, goes well. And it's a heck of a beer to start with, guys. So,
Yeah.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
yeah, it's
Last
definitely going to
OG.
blast the palate,
Let's do it.
but in a good way.
Let's rock and roll.
Let's
man.
blast our palate.
Let's blast the palate. We won't even be able to taste the second beer. It'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be done. We're alive to taste the second beer.
Yes. Yeah, I think you brought bourbon. I think it's just bourbon.
It smells like bourbon.
Yeah, and the cool part about anything that's bourbon barrel aged is like the bourbon barrel really can help the beer out. Mikkeller's obviously making amazing beer anyway, but I love the notes on it because you get that caramel, of all the malt, the over malt.
Yeah, very much.
Obviously, having to get to that, that ABV, you're really having to malt it up.
And it's really dark to describe it
man.
at home. I mean, it basically looks like black coffee.
Yeah.
It smells like bourbon, but yeah, you're right. You get the caramel notes. It's a little sweet. It's very malty. Before you even take a sip, you can tell.
I'm excited to taste it. Well, cheers, guys.
Guys ready?
Cheers.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do the thing. Cheers, boys. Oh, that's smooth.
Velvety smooth.
Oh,
That is smooth.
that
man.
hits, man. That taste going down, that nice, perfect,
It's
what's
got
the
another
flavor?
year to probably go, but that is surprisingly velvety smooth.
Yeah,
for-
that is
for
smooth.
coming right out.
And it's vanilla. Like you get a lot of
Yeah.
vanilla. I'm
Yeah.
getting a lot of vanilla anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
it is.
man.
Yeah, the vanilla's in
Ooh.
there for sure.
Ooh.
That's really
That
good.
is-
You just sit here, and drink this and sip it for a while.
I
And
can have a cigar with this.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
the thing is, if we do finish this bottle, it's got a little bit of bite in the beginning. You got to taste the alcohol. After about half of that bottle, we're not going to taste a damn thing.
Dude, I got like coffee notes going on right now. I
For
felt
sure.
like I just drank some coffee.
Yeah, yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah. I mean, this is the bourbon stuff. Derek, I think I've told you this before. Like it's hit or miss for me.
Mm-hmm.
The bourbon beers. Sometimes I think it just takes over the entire flavor of the beer, and it's not even beer to me anymore.
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, it doesn't really taste like beer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a subtle hint of a very dark beer, like
Yeah.
in the aftertaste. To me, I get that.
The bourbon's really powerful. The brandy in there is kind of sweetening it up, and you're getting that vanilla, I think, too.
But that vanilla helps balance it, so it's not like you're taking a shot of bourbon,
Right.
Which I think is always my challenge with that. It's like I'm trying to drink a beer, not take a shot.
Well, and this will taste better as it warms up too. This is that's the cool part about a lot of craft beer, but especially with imperial stouts like this. When it's warm, it's going to even have a little bit more complexity, which is nice.
I had a mullet in college, by the way.
Wow. So we need a
freshman
picture
year.
of that, Stu.
Oh, I'll find it. I'll find it
Wow.
for you. It was not the best look I ever had.
I was a parted hair
know.
down the center
Yeah.
kind of guy.
I couldn't pull it off. Trust me.
Yeah, I think now could be your year. You ever get a haircut? You have a hair for such a long time, and then you get it cut, and then you're like, "Wow, it literally took 5 pounds off."
Yeah.
Well, and
Oh,
it feels
dude,
so
yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Oh man,
It
when you get
does.
your hair cut after you had like a long haircut,
Yep.
and you can feel the wind on the side of your head.
It's the best feeling.
It was really
oh,
nothing
man,
better.
that cool air.
It's so good.
I mean that like being as a guy, like I've said this to several people too, is just being able to go outside, and I was like, it's really easy being a guy, and I say this, in a way with utmost respect to women and men, but we have it easy.
Yes.
Being able to just go into the woods, go, just find a tree and do your business.
Or even on the golf course.
I had a ex-girlfriend of mine that lived over in Anthem in the country club, and we were coming home one night from a long night, and she's like, "I really got to pee. Pull over here by the putt putting green.
Oh boy!
Right, so we pulled down in there. She ran to the putting green to the flag and peed in the hole.
Jeez.
The short grass.
Oh boy! Oh, I'd hate to be the guy who sank the first putt the next day.
Yes. Wow. Why did it rain last night?
Just a little bit of dew. It's okay.
The
It's not that
audacity.
humid.
The audacity to go for the short grass. I like that.
You know what I do on a long road trip is I pull over on the side of the freeway and I like open the side door that's away from the road.
Oh yeah.
And then I pull out my cell phone and pretend like I'm making a
Yeah.
call.
Oh,
So
dude, just
you guys
own
do
it.
that?
Just
You
pee.
No, I do it. So, I don't want to be the guy who's just taking a whiz on the side of the road.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I got I'm making a call.
Oh,
guys.
that's
I'm making
funny.
a call.
Well, it's because somebody will sneak up on you, and then you got to like play it off.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
always do that. I'll be like, "Oh wow,
Yeah.
like, that's an amazing mountain range."
That's right. It's beautiful.
just like
taking in the view.
Just gauge the look here, and like my hands are kind of around my waist.
Oh yeah,
You know
that's
what
the
I mean?
stance
because
too.
you can't be like visibly with your arm in
No,
front, just
no.
then they know.
Just like this. Well, the car's going by, and I'm moving with the car.
Yeah.
Adjusting my angle.
That's right. I don't remember what we were talking about.
The beer,
The-
amazing beer.
So
Look
we-
at that, 14% already
Yeah.
got us.
Yeah, it just went straight to the head.
Yeah. And then we started talking about pee. So like we're
Yeah.
literally
That's
just
my
talking about the
fault.
full cycle.
Yeah.
Just that you drink beer and then you got to pee.
Yeah,
It's all
filter
it's all a cycle.
it. Have you ever drank beer while you're peeing?
Yes, absolutely.
I can't
There's-
imagine I haven't.
Yeah,
But how
but
about-
there's
how about-
something about it that just feels nice.
Well, it
you
feels
know?
like you're just like
Just-
basically in a constant loop.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, have
Circle
you
of
ever drank beer while in a shower or while peeing?
Oh yeah, shower beers are the best.
Shower beers are great.
Yep.
And
Ooh, but
while
I don't know if
peeing,
I've done a
while you-
peeing one. No.
I think
that's
the
just
while
a lot
peeing
of-
is important.
Yeah,
you
there's
know?
a lot of liquids
It's very
going on.
important.
You know,
Exit, entrance, simultaneous.
cleansing.
Yeah,
Yep.
very rotational, very COVID, 50 people at a time only
Yeah,
cycle
that's
through
right.
now.
250 people.
Well, now,
Yeah.
now it's huge. Yeah.
You can have as many people in that shower as you want.
So many.
Really.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Well, so speaking of 250 people, you're a man who conducts many great events, as we talked about earlier.
Oh, thank you.
So how is COVID, obviously affecting, the work that you guys are doing? It's good that they're starting to up the number of people who can come out, but like, what have you guys done during this whole situation?
A lot of what we did was in the beginning, it was a kind of stop and wait thing. I think that that kind of spread to everyone because we were all kind of stuck at home. No one knew what work was going to look like, what the community was going to look like. And, it came pretty clear to us pretty early on that this wasn't going to, let up anytime soon. And we pivoted pretty quickly into, for positive reasons. And then obviously that, in having to kind of put a screeching halt on one of our events, our 10th anniversary of the Great Vegas Festival of Beer, which, was great. I mean, we had some amazing programming for it. We still plan on doing it and we will do it. And it'll still be the 10th anniversary because it just didn't happen yet. And we kind of were like, well, how do we keep people engaged? Like, how do we still keep people's spirits up? How do we keep them, the one thing we didn't want people to do is start bailing and not want to attend the event.
Sure.
So we came up with a program called Stay Motley, and that program was intended a fewfold. We had a bunch of ticket holders, and instead of, we gave people the option, instead of asking for a refund, we wanted to give them a special package in order to, stay Motley and basically support us and the community during this time. So that package essentially became, a form of basically loyalty for everyone. So we offered if you bought a ticket, we offered gift cards worth 120% of your ticket value. One of the things that we did that I really wanted to bring for tonight, but I'll bring it to you guys when it's finished, is that we did a collaboration beer with Big Dogs.
Ooh.
And
Big Dogs makes good beer.
Yeah. And this collaboration was automatically for the Stay Motley members. So it was basically a beer that would be for anyone, they would get this collaboration along with a collector's, glassware. And so we basically kind of created this experiential package in the midst of experiences being, null and void.
Right.
And it went really well. The vast majority of people kept their tickets. They decided to stay Motley. And so that
awesome.
part of it was reassuring to us to know that people, even in these unsure times, not knowing, if they're going to have a job, if the government's going to shut them down again, that they wanted to be part of what we were doing. And so we took that very seriously, and I was very humbled and thankful for it. So now, we have this virtual event coming up in which all the Stay Motley members can go. We're selling the event. October 24th, we have a live version of that event, in which we're releasing the Doppelbock, and it's Doppelbock. Doppelbock is spelled Doppelbock. And so we basically have we paired with Big Dogs, who Dave Pasquale over there is one of my favorite brewers. He's just such a great dude and so talented, just award winning. He's won so many awards in the majors. He's brewing a Doppelbock 8.8%. And we came up with Big Dogs of this idea of the Doppelbock, and the PPE part of Doppelbock is capitalized, in PPE, the personal protective equipment, kind of that whole thing.
Cool.
And so it's a dog basically with ripping his mask off, and has his gloves on and his goggles up, and the shirt underneath is kind of very Superman-esque style, saying "Stay Motley," and
that's killer.
And people seem to really like it. So we've had some, to answer your question, it hasn't been easy. We obviously have had to really shut down operations on the beer side and the event side, like so many people have. But the beautiful part about that is that we've still been able to keep the spirit alive of what we're doing on that side. And it's given us a really great opportunity to pivot and be a lot more, be more creative. Creativity is always something that, they can't turn that off. What's in the mind is always something so strong that, that something like this isn't going to stop it. And so that aspect has been, really, I think, uplifting to our crew, and that we've just been thinking and coming up with all these great ideas so that when things do come back, we can start bringing those to fruition. So it's been, it's been definitely a change in not having a major Motley event this year. But when we come back, we're going to light it up, and I think everybody's with us, and that's, we know that they're with us. They've kept their tickets. And so, we're going to come in full force, irreverent like we are, and kick some ass, and have fun.
It's going to be better than ever. I love what you did, because
and for everyone, we hope too, across the board, it's so much about Las Vegas community and that aspect of it, not just us, but where, the locals, with everything with the teams and the Golden Knights and the Raiders, like there's just this new burgeoning, just culture that's outside of, places like, where I was just in San Francisco for a month and learning some things out there, and just had a really nice time. But San Francisco is, and much like San Diego, they're established communities, right? They have cultures, they have pockets of cultures. They've got, even from area to area. Las Vegas is so new. It's still very ground zero-esque. It's exciting to be a part of. Yeah.
It feels like everything that's happening, and obviously for better and worse,
right,
is, you could talk about October 1,
right.
Like what a terrible, terrible tragedy.
Sure. Yeah.
But, trying to have a silver lining. I feel like the community came together after October 1.
It was the most amazing thing, man. Like I went out the day after and just helped, right? Like I wanted to give blood, but the lines were too long. But then people just needed help unloading cars. So I'm like, cool, I'll just help doing that. Yeah. And then it was just crazy to see, because you don't really feel like in this city that it's that much of a community, I guess.
Yeah.
But when
it didn't used to.
Yeah. But then that happened. You're like, holy crap. Like the whole city just came together like that. It was the coolest thing to see.
We care about each other.
Yeah.
And it did. It happened. And it happened to be timed, obviously, right when the Knights started. Because then the Knights came out on the ice that night, or the next night, and had this great tribute.
Yep.
And then, of course, the Knights went on to the Stanley Cup that year. And unfortunately lost to the Caps, which was, it is what it is. But what a story where the Knights were.
Yep.
That felt like what a punctuation mark after such a terrible tragedy, to we're now together and we have someone to rally behind. But again, you talk about the events that you started holding for these beer things, for the Raiders to come to town, and now we've got more to root for. Water Street is now starting to get built out in a pretty cool way. I mean, it's pretty cool what they're doing down there. Downtown, Chinatown, you mentioned. Summerlin, downtown Summerlin. Literally all these things, you're watching a culture be built. Because when you come from the outside of Las Vegas and you look at this town, you think the Strip.
That's all you see. Yeah.
It's funny too, because people I still talk to, just when I do get out of the city and I try to explain to them what Las Vegas is about, they're like, I often still hear the comment, and it's surprising to me that, oh man, I could just never live in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
you know, I mean, the summers are really tough for me, but otherwise I think Las Vegas is a wonderful place to live. I'm almost transparent. I'm so pale.
I'm with you.
So that
Same.
part of it is tough weather-wise, but as far as the community, I mean, there are so many cool secrets out here, and just places, and just this grit and spirit that that exists among the community. And like you said, it's very small and tight knit, and it's. But you guys are right, and that's part of what we saw too, is just people rallying around, even when October 1 happened.
And Brian, you're totally right. Summer sucks. No one can combat that.
Yeah.
It's 115 degrees outside. No one wants to be here. But
No.
you get through that, and guess what? Winter's not that bad.
Yeah.
It ain't Chicago.
No.
I'll tell you that much.
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah, there's a lot it just continues to happen, in which these new projects start to come up, even in the holidays. The Miracle and Spring Mountain, done by the Sand Dollar guys. I don't know if you'd been there, but
Heck yeah.
such a cool thing. And
Now they're doing Nightmare coming
they're
up.
doing it, yeah.
Stoked for that.
Yeah, so cool. And just seeing this culture and just select individuals rally a lot of other people, and there's a lot of folks doing it, and I got to watch it at a very early time, and seeing them evolve as the city evolves. It's pretty magic. You know, it really is. There's more spirit here in Las Vegas, I think, than has ever been, even with what's happened this year. And that part's cool.
Yeah. Well, we could talk all day about how much we all love Vegas. We all live here. But I think it's actually a good segue, because we're talking about the growth of Las Vegas. We're talking about how it's evolving and how it's changing and how it's improving. I think it's time to circle around to Brian's fear of not growing.
Is Brian ready?
All right. Have you had enough beer yet?
It's your show. Let's do this.
Let's rock and roll, man. So tell us, I think it's a fear that's pretty self-explanatory, right? You want to keep growing, you want to evolve, but can you tell us a little bit about why that bothers you so much, or why you think about it a lot, and why it matters to you?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it reflects on all aspects of my life, and it's just kind of something that when you asked it, I haven't been asked that question in a long time, and I liked thinking about it, and it took me a little while to think about it, which was cool. And to sum it all up in a few words, I think the fear of not growing more reaches to my personal life, my work life, and I think all of that kind of comes together. I'm much of a person that, with how Motley started too, I definitely mixed a passion and, with work, where it's like, oh, wow, you throw beer festivals. They're like, man, you have a great job. And I'm like, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It's fun. I'm able to kind of express myself, and without boundaries, for, relative purposes, without boundaries, and be able to, bring a team together and influence, this, whatever we build for the time being. And I think the growth aspect has been especially important this year and the past couple years, in that where I was in my 30s, 20s, every, subset of years as I've grown older, I try to grow wiser and try to, not just take life as it comes to me, or it's delivered to me, and as to how it's presented to me, and really critically think about, what do I want? How do I want to, how do I want to influence other people, and really self-grow as well. And I think that I've learned some, hard lessons in my personal life. I've learned some tough lessons in my work life, but I wouldn't change any of that stuff, because they've all helped, move me towards growth, mentally, and just being really appreciative about the life that I do have. And not because, hey, I have this amount of money, or I have this lifestyle, or I've got that type of thing. I very much like to live fairly simply. And I really kind of go where my heart and mind lead me. Yeah. And when I do that, it typically never fails. So I think that fear of not growing and staying stagnant, per se, from what I was kind of saying to you guys before, I think some people can perceive that as never being, settled and kind of moving around a lot.
Yeah.
I like to see everything. I like to learn about cultures, our own here, other places. And I like to learn about, really interact with people as well, and learn about, their perspectives and really just develop an appreciation, and how that filters into my personal relationships, whether it's dating, with my family, anything like that, really being able to appreciate other people as well, being more tolerant, I think, and not so closed-minded. All of that is really generated, people are often like, man, you're really positive and all this type of stuff. It hasn't always been that easy.
Yeah.
I think that, I was, that you can easily turn to a negative side, but, if you start to really look around and appreciate the small things and like little things for me, like getting up in the morning and opening my computer and brewing a really great cup of coffee, I would not replace that moment for anything in the entire world. Yeah. It's literally it is my first breath of air in the morning, and I'm just sitting there and just kind of looking outside. And so, anyway, just getting a little bit off track, but
I think it makes perfect sense.
No,
yeah,
totally does.
And just, that aspect of it, and having a little bit of routine, but also stepping outside of my comfort zone. That to me is really where I find my energy and where I find my purpose too. Yeah. So the way that is reflected in the event side and the work side is that when we create something, I always want to outdo it and create something else and more, and really not from any other way that, where it's just like, hey, we have to make this bigger, more lavish, this and that, but make it more true, right? Like connect more the concept and the idea that we're doing and bring it to a point that is, that's expressive and non-pretentious and non-egocentric, and really be able to bring good people and show them good things and unique things that are pure, Yeah. So, for me, I have recurring dreams sometimes that, people come to our events and they don't, they don't attend. There's no one there. I open the gates. I'm expecting 10,000 people and there's like 10. Yeah. And like half the shit's not done. And you're just like, man, oh God. And, but
I've
when
had
I
that
do,
dream before.
yeah, of course, it's, if you've done any events, and I know you have, it's just one of those, but usually that's when the event's the best. That, I think that dream comes from the idea of not realizing the potential of an experience. And I think that can, that can translate into every aspect of life. Is we can go through our normal days and just keep doing the same thing, and take what, our country, people, are telling us, what TV's telling us, the media and all that type of stuff. And just absorb it all and say that this is okay. This is the way I'm going to live my life. Or you really kind of buck the trend and start looking around and talking to people and getting into, your own community, other communities. And there's just a lot of people with a lot of knowledge out there and just a lot of beauty and I think that's what's really helped spur me to growth. So yeah, it is if we're going to call it a fear for sure, that in one thing in general, it would be kind of staying in that kind of unenlightened space and really just accepting life as it's put in front of me, as opposed to seeking it out, which is something that really is, I think the root of my energy. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Brian, it's totally like that's a very valid fear, right? But it's like, how do you also counterbalance it? So like, I think what you're talking about though is like doing your best, because the other thing that you mentioned too was really around mindfulness. Sure. Enjoying that morning coffee, enjoying that moment that you have in the morning. Yeah. That's very specific. And and I actually have that written on my whiteboard at home. Be mindful and take deep breaths.
You have to.
Because that's just, because otherwise breath you can just like huge. Go. And I just think about it a lot, where it's like, man, you get so wrapped up in the day to day and the shit that doesn't actually matter. It's so easy to do that if you can actually take a breath and take a step back, you realize the things that are important and the things that are important to you and the people that you care about.
Yep.
And so I think where your fear comes from too, and how it can be interpreted to a lot of people is like, we need to not only get better at having an open mind and a broader perspective and do the things that we can to get there, but also we need to make sure that we're doing the right things and not just bullshitting. Because you can have the perception of like, I'm doing a lot,
Oh,
I'm doing a
totally.
lot every
Well,
day.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too, and a part I'll add is that for me, it was really, the person that I am now as I'm getting into my mid 40s, it's not the person I was in my 30s. I was still, trying to learn and in my 20s even. And, each time, as time went on and I got older, but, hopefully learn more, I really started getting a lot more comfortable with myself. I think it's really easy, especially when I was starting the company and just as I was starting, my career in general, to have a lot of self-doubt and just be like, man, am I doing this right? Or am I really jacking this up? Is anybody going to really like this? And I think what I've found too is that, getting more confidence in my abilities and being okay with just being on my own. Right. Yeah. And especially as that pertains to personal relationships in which, spending more time with myself, really enjoying and enjoying spending company with me and me alone. And then, I found that, really helped to get myself in a position to be great, not only in personal relationships, but in work relationships where, you can rely on yourself. You like spending time, with yourself. You feel like you're doing the right things and moving in a direction that that is feeding your soul. So I think that aspect has really helped as well, is just getting to know myself more and really liking that aspect.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a big deal because you have to like you have to be okay with you to really kind of have everything else kind of work out.
Yeah.
Like right now they say society is like we can't be anywhere in the quiet. Like we're so used to noise, we're so used to things coming at us all the time that when you get in this quiet place, it's very uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to push past that to get to the place because we need that quiet. We need that time for ourselves.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too, is that I've totally found as I've gotten older that I need that time by myself. I need that time to recharge and spend and have my own thoughts. And then I think that's especially why in the mornings I really look at that time as, I feel like no one's awake yet. I get up, pretty early. And I have that time just to reflect and just be thankful, and it just comes automatic now. It's not a forced thing. I almost get excited about it. I'm an absolute morning person. It's super annoying.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask, so when you talk about, those mindful moments and being alone with yourself, I mean, so what do you do? I mean, do you meditate or is it more just relax?
Lots of hardcore drugs. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping
Joe
you were gonna
Rogan
say.
style.
Yeah. I mean, during those moments, it's interesting because there is an aspect of technology that sometimes is involved with it. And then there's aspects of which sometimes I'll just sit and have a cup of coffee and not be on my computer and stuff. And then they say you're not supposed to do that right away, but it works for me.
Yeah.
And, just kind of surveying, more there's that quietness and stillness because, I have a tendency, I can become, which is interesting, I can become overstimulated pretty easily. And if that does happen,
the beer.
And yeah, sure. The beer is very, very destimulating. Yeah. But having that time just to, really, it's hard to explain. It's just, there's an energy in the air. I'm in a place where I feel calm. I'm at my most alert. I'm happy. And so that's kind of where I may not, especially in the mornings, I might not be awake yet, but my mind is ready, to accept what's coming at me.
I love that you mentioned though, like your mornings and stuff, because there's nights like we'll be outside here and just hanging out, and my wife will want to go inside and kind of get ready for bed, and like there's some nights I'm just out there and I'm like, go ahead, like I'm just gonna chill, I'm just chilling. I got the music going, like not words, just like instrumental music playing, and I'm just chilling because it's like there's just something about that night that just feels like really good. Yeah. And I just want to sit there and take it in.
Well, and that's a great point on music. Music is definitely one of my primary languages. So,
yes.
That aspect, and then I'm just glad you brought it up, I'm very into where some people share, memes and everything. Like I'm a music sharer. For me, it speaks to me like any type of language. And, so I'm glad you brought it up because those moments are important too, and can just so dictate or interpret moods. And I think Spotify is an amazing thing because it just, it starts finding music for you. And I'm like, man, this is pretty rad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just can't wait for the aliens to get here this year.
God, I'm excited.
That's going to be the best.
That's November, right?
I think it's November, December-ish. Okay. It just depends on the travel.
They were supposed to come.
Light speed isn't as fast as it used to be. It's weird. Well, I don't know how to explain it.
The universe is expanding faster than it was before. It's
yeah.
Hey, can we open the next beer now?
Yeah, I was going to say. We got.
By the way,
you
you mentioned aliens.
I thought I was the only one.
Aliens,
we got a cosmic.
Let's do it.
Something from Stone.
Sure.
That we got to talk about. All right, boys. We got the. We got to give special shout out, by the way, to Stone. So big thanks to Stone Brewing.
Yes.
We reached out. We were actually trying to do a podcast with Greg. Greg Koch, who's the founder of Stone. He's really busy right now, as you can imagine. He just released the documentary Beer Jesus. But what they did say was like, look, hey, circle back with us in a couple of months. For now, here's this awesome beer that you can really only get in San Diego right now, or pretty limited around the region. So it's called Cosmic Runestone IPA.
I like it.
This beast is 7.3%.
Beautiful. See, we're calming down a little bit.
Lovely.
Yeah, this is
half.
This is
just
just
half the
drinking
ABV.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
easy. This is
a
about
walk
a
in the
pool
park,
now.
man.
Beach beer.
Yeah, this is easy stuff. But yeah, I mean, anyone who listens to the show knows that Stone is by far one of my favorite breweries in the world. I grew up in San Diego, so it's easy to say that.
Yeah.
But I mean, big shout out again to Stone. Thank you so much for the beer. And now, boys, let's give it a drink or let's give it a smell first.
Let's do it. Thanks, Stone. Thanks, guys.
Oh yeah. See, that's much less, I think, of a West Coast IPA than they would normally do.
It's a lot more malt forward, but
Yeah.
It doesn't have as much bite as I thought it would have.
it's good though. It's kind of along that style of the hazies, and I won't call it a hazy because it's not, but just a lot fruitier than what they normally do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a IPA with Centennial and Sabro hops and juniper.
Ooh,
a little bit of juniper.
See, I
There we
love
go.
that.
Yeah.
You put anything like weird into a beer or drink, I'm all for it, dude.
Yeah.
What was that weird fruit that we had in
Oh,
beer?
stone fruit.
Stone fruit. I don't even know what the hell
I
a stone
don't know
fruit
what it
is.
was, but I tasted it.
Brian, do you know what a stone
Yeah,
fruit is?
I've seen them sell it at the store before, and I think I bought it one time, cut it open. I'm like, I have no idea what to do with this.
Yeah.
One of those. You ever get that stuff at
Oh,
the store
totally.
where you're like, let me buy this. I'm going to cook with this.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Mess with it.
What do we do here?
It's not
figure
going
it
to
out.
What do
work.
we do here? That's most food for me. If it doesn't microwave, I'm out.
No,
Yeah.
jeez.
No, this is a really good beer though. Actually, you know what it kind of reminds me of, and hopefully this isn't like blasphemous for Stone, but it's another San Diego brewery. Reminds me a little bit of Phantom Bride by Belching Beaver. I don't know if you guys are getting that at all, but that's also one of my favorite IPAs.
I haven't had them. I haven't had that one yet.
Yeah. Well, have you? So Belching Beaver is a great brewery. They got really famous for.
I love their peanut butter stout. Yeah,
Sure. Everyone knew their peanut butter stout. This Stone Cosmic Runestone IPA reminds me a lot of that Phantom Bride.
Cool.
Because it does have a little less harsh of a kick. Now, don't get me wrong. When I'm ready for some hops, I want some hops. I want some West Coast.
Yeah,
give me
you want that harsh.
Give me the
I wanna
blast.
Feel it.
Yeah.
There's just so much of it going on right now. I mean, obviously the New England hazy movement is
Ooh,
so
good. That's an IPA I can drink.
That's
Yeah.
what they were going for too. It's an approachable IPA. I think it broadened the market even more and made people, made IPA just even more approachable. And I think I brought a couple too, but I got to admit, I do like the hazies, and I really kind of cut the stone, and no pun intended, but I kind of carved my way in through the really unbalanced, harsh, big, very, very piney IPAs.
Yeah.
And how they've evolved, not only the hazies, but just the West Coast balanced style. There used to be so many unbalanced IPAs.
Totally.
And that was kind of the fun thing. It was like big, unbalanced, like super hoppy, and and we all drank it, and it was good, but the palate has changed, and the need for, there's just so much more chemistry behind the entire, industry now. It's just, a lot of the big breweries hired, biology people and biochemists and stuff to really, make sure that, you duplicate the same, the exact same batch every time. So.
See, there's something about like the rawness though of just like doing it in your garage. Like our buddy Rich,
sure.
I went over there and he was brewing a pumpkin beer for his birthday. And so he ended up doing like cinnamon and vanilla,
Sure.
and ginger into it. And like,
is that done yet? By the way,
like we did. Well, it won't be done till like close to Halloween.
how long? Okay.
But I took my wife, and we were there and just kind of doing the whole process. And she's like, "Man, I did not realize like what all went into it."
Mm-hmm.
And this is just, like taking the temp yourself, making sure it's all right, getting all prepared. Like there's something about that, just like not having the electronic machine to do it. You kind of mess up like, oh, it's this temp. Oh, I got to write that. It's crazy. It's so cool, man. There's something fun about that.
It's
like,
raw.
Yeah.
It's raw. It's like a garage band, man.
Yeah.
It is.
The
It's like
sound
building-
feels unperfected. It's like listening to Nirvana's first album, and it's like, this is not perfect music, but it's fucking good.
Good. Yeah. That's
It's like building a model airplane. I mean, it just really is. It takes a very meticulous type thing, and you got to follow steps and be passionate about it too. It's great.
Yeah. Brian, I love your fear, man. Thanks for bringing that
Thanks.
tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me talk about it. But yeah, no, it's hey, it's all fear and love, you guys. I mean, that's it. So it's good to kind of definitely overcoming fears in life. I think is just something I've always focused on. So and just trying to doing that, I think brings a lot more perspective and hopefully a lot more wisdom about what we're all doing here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, good
I
show,
love it.
guys. Good beer. Good fear.
Yeah.
Yes. I never even burped into the mic.
I know you didn't.
Well,
I know you did at the beginning, but I cut it out. So.
That's fun, you guys. Seriously fun. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Well,
dude,
thanks for
seriously,
coming, Brian.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Coming
guys
out,
for
man.
having me.
Thanks.
This is
Appreciate your
awesome.
time.
Keep doing what
Yeah.
you're doing. It's
Yeah.
really great.
Yeah. Well, hey,
People
look,
need this.
anytime you want to come back, you're always welcome.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Talk
then.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not
Spirit
even
of
going to have
fish.
a podcast tomorrow. He's just going to come hang out. That's fine too. Yeah. Cool, guys. Well, hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for listening.
Yes.
We'll be seeing you.